TSM, it went real fast, and then they were like, wait a minute, that was unexpected.
Why did they ban the Sona? And they did this, I could swear they banned the Sona in the game they won. But this series is becoming long, and my memory is drawing worse.
When's the last time you did a best of 5?
It's been a really long time
There you go.
since I've done a best of 5.
But you called it. The crystal ball still works.
Yeah.
So we got the green team being locked in for Team Solo Mid. Boom. Even Twitter thinks they should have banned Karthus. Man, Twitter just went off the haywire right now.
We could totally get the Blitzcrank here, as Probably was saying, because the Thresh got picked by TSM, so it's no longer a GGU thing.
Lock it in.
There's the Daydream and Blitzcrank.
That smile's even on Jintae's face. He's like, cool, I'm not going to play mid this game. I get to go wherever I want.
And they got Caitlyn, which is the craziest thing. The Nasus pick and the Thresh pick were so important. And that's last game, TSM was first picking Caitlyn, but this time they decided Thresh and Nasus were more priority for them. That is some bold moves coming out.
Got a game of Stratego going on here. They are taking out each other's units left and right. Reginald looking to pick what is left for him. That Diana's still there. He had a great run on it. It obviously plays to his aggression. We'll have to see what he locks in. Turtle going for the Varus. We've seen him quite a bit, and they don't usually leave Reginald for last pick. This is interesting.
And I'm pretty sure in both of TSM's losses this year, Wild Turtle has been on Varus. He's been pretty much unstoppable on everything else. So it is a little bit dangerous for him to go that. He a lot of times goes the max Q Varus, which is actually very potent, but we're not entirely sure how that's going to work out. And now it's on GGU. They're fast picking the rest of this.
Oh, Daydreamin'. He's going around. He has played LeBlanc support. So we actually are going to see the Kazakhs coming in. He has his Blitzcrank already. So Zion Spartan going even harder this game.
And Zion Spartan can play pretty much anything this tournament. We saw him pull out the Tryndamere. He's picked out the Kazakhs in this one. The poke for him in this game, if he gets going, is going to be really strong. He would be able to close on Rumble in between cooldowns and maybe punish Dyrus if he gets in the right situation, but the Diana would still be available for Reginald if he wants it. It's just very difficult to actually do these hard initiation comps against stuff like Karthus.
So why did we not get a Draven Turtle?
It's a really good question. I mean, they may have just shied away from it out of a little bit of fear, because like Caitlyn against Draven is not necessarily a matchup that favors too many people. Like a really good Caitlyn can keep Draven at bay, but Draven can also just kind of bull his way through and just out-damage Caitlyn. I think it's just one of those team picks of saying we want more crowd control, we trust the Varus ultimate, and we want a combo with Reginald's initiation on Diana, as he has been honing in on those champions.
All right, we'll have to see what they decide to do. Like you said, these champions kind of shared by each other, so they're drifting away from those ones. In some aspects, the Blitzcrank has been picked up there. We get to swap around so we can see the lanes. And we'll talk about a little bit about where the late game is going to scale here if TSM allows GGU to get to it.
And this is definitely something much different than what we've seen previously. The late game is actually very close once again for these guys, because Nasus is a great late game jungler and TSM makes really great late game decisions. But the 6-item Caitlyn is stronger than the 6-item Varus, and the Karthus is also stronger than the Diana, I think, really late game. Some of the pros might hold me accountable for that and say no, but this is another one of those matchups that will probably be close. And if they can pull out a big early game lead on either side, it's not like someone could easily just stall it out.
It depends on what kind of mid strength you want to look at, right? You get a Diana to dive into your team, it's a lot less detrimental than if a Karthus dives in, because then everybody's got to leave. So they all have their strong, they all have their the strengths and weaknesses. And there we see GGU on your screen, possibly the last times they will sit in those chairs for the championship title matchup. Same thing for TSM. They're looking to keep this game in their favor with the momentum they have from Game 3.
And TSM really, really wants to win this. When they made the swap from Wild Turtle to Chaos, they were the #3 team in North America. And it's really, really important for them to be the #1 team in North America again. It's a stepping stone in a sense for them, because their end goal is obviously the World Championships and beating all the international teams. But they don't feel like they can do that until they've achieved dominance over their North American teams.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, game number 4 underway on your screens. Thank you for tuning in. Hundreds of thousands of you watching, so pats on the backs to you at home. Pats on the backs to everyone in Europe who is still staying up to watch this. There's more games to go on both, so we'll have to see.
All right, Red Elixir for Zion Spartan. Obviously no Red Elixir on Dyrus. Interestingly enough, I think every matchup between these guys has had one guy with a Red Elixir and one guy without, and it actually hasn't made that big of an impact in any of the situations.
We'll have to see as we start this game. It's just in the first few seconds, but we have to remember, it is game point for Team Solo Mid. If they can take this game in the best-of-5 series, they will take the championship title, $50,000. and be looking. Oh my God, Mastery gets caught out in the beginning. You don't think he's going to be able to make it. He nets. He still has his flash and his cleanse. He is being so patient right now.
Very patient escape by Don't Mash Me in that situation. When that hook landed, I was thinking, oh no, TSM's got the lead. It's over. The series is over, but he managed to escape. Only detriment is that he had to skill up that 90 caliber net first.
Yeah, and it was a quick skill too. He put that in as soon as he was getting attacked, and really just sound play by him. I can't believe he didn't blow anything out of just being scared about that.
Yeah, it turns out that X Special was a fair bit ahead of the rest of his team, and that is a very long-range hook, so that even though it landed and had the stun for about a second and a half, it still didn't allow the rest of TSM to close on him. And he was also close enough to the turret that if TSM would have burned flashes to go in, they would have risked dying themselves.
All right, so we'll see. They are going to get the swap in here. Jinte is up towards that mid side, though, so it looks like they may choose to swap theirs. We'll have to see what they do.
Delayed invade for TSM. This is a big mind game because they've already invaded the bottom side. GGU doesn't think there's a ward near their blue buff, but Reggie's actually the one that placed that early on in the game.
Mashmi putting himself in the front of that line. They're really not able to activate anything else off of that, so this is going to be thwarted here. And it looks like if they don't go, it goes to Nintendo. There we go.
But there was a really clever use of the hook by X Special there. Nintendo was trying to get the smiteless blue buff, but because the hook came out at the right time, he burned his smite just to be safe, and it will slow down Nintendo's jungle, therefore getting rid of some of the early game pressure that he holds.
So they're going to actually put Blitzcrank in the top lane. It's not going to be used for the way Daydreamin loves it, to be in that mid lane, to pull the buffs, to really create pressure throughout that triangular position of mid lane.
It's a mind game within a mind game. I mean, Daydreamin came on and actually interviewed after his first 2v1 Blitzcrank game and said, you can only play Blitzcrank in mid lane, so when we pick Blitzcrank, that's what we do. And then yesterday in game 3, they played him top lane. And they're just like, yeah, we're going to fight you. We were just kidding. There's the hook.
Oh, the hook onto X Special. They don't choose to do too much with it because he's still level 1. Daydreamin actually getting hit up quite hard here. It's a level 4 to a level 3 matchup. If you add them together, Daydreamin needs that extra skill for the crowd control. Mastery puts himself in the fight. The Ignite is down on Turtle. The cleanse of the exhaust, and it looks like they
now he's level 2.
Daydreamin just leveled up. The flash away from Mastery that he kept earlier. Can Daydreamin capitalize on the kill? No, the cookie comes out from X Special.
Such a close trade. Hooks on hooks and shields on shields. The mana barrier really doing it for Daydreamin. He hit level 2 off the kill to get the knock-up, and it ends up forcing X Special's flash as well. Wild Turtle actually died without flashing away because he thought he was going to be able to get that kill on Mashmi. He was all in that situation. That could be the Caitlyn power. Don't Mash Me having control of it for the first time all series, and they may have control of this lane as well.
And again, Mash Me just applying super sound play there. He stood in the middle of 2 people as they just walked and attacked Daydreaming. He knew what the situation outcome was. They played it perfectly for a first blood coming up on 4 minutes. 1,000 gold in their lead now, 23-17, as that Karth is taking a bit of advantage on the minions, but we saw Reginald already going back for the small camps, so he is going to be probably surpassing Jinte, but Jinte a good farmer, so I guess that right now is going to seesaw back and forth.
These playoffs have been absolutely awesome. Every game, every series has won the distance. So many of the games have been close. There's been potential for so many upsets, and at the start of this game, the team that needs to win the most pulls off the amazing level 1 play and gives themselves such a big early edge.
So we have Zion Spartan and Dyrus just kind of hanging out in the bottom lane, freezing this one quite hard on each other. They're really not going anywhere. 1 for 1 in the CS, and just back. Again, these guys get left on an island.
And actually what happened in that bottom lane very early is Zion Spartan's all-in level 2 pushed Dyrus back a little bit, and Dyrus actually started this game with 9 health potions. But he's burned 4 of them because of how much Zion Spartan's been harassing, and Zion Spartan spent his red elixir. But there's no wards for Dyrus here, and Nintendo X might be able to go in. Dyrus does have flash though.
There was no combo of potion and wards you can get back at the store. Dyrus didn't catch that one. So it looks like they move out. They do have vision on Nintendo X though. We'll see if this gives a little bit less prep for the other lanes and they use it.
They may try to do something. This is the standard lane game. Everyone just decided to lane up against each other, and they might just decide to brawl. Zion Spartan has a slight experience advantage, and Odd One is there just in case they think about a dive.
There's a hook coming. Wow, they kind of crisscross the stream hooks there. That's not what you want to do. None of them come up with the pull, though. It looks like they will just return back to farming their faces off. 7,200 gold to 6,700, so that gap closing just a little bit because of the farm in the lanes. The tiers coming out for GGU right off the bat. 1 stacking for Zion and stacking up for Jinte.
Pretty early tiers they were able to pick up, and they can do that because the early game jungle pressure from Nasus is actually quite low, so they don't need to worry that much about potential ganks coming at them and escape paths. They can pretty much just farm as much as they want as long as they're not losing their 1v1 matchup early on.
A little bit of movement here from Jinte. Looks like he's going to get a ward down. That'll also help any, engagement of Nasus coming out towards the top side or that invade. So they're trying to get everything they can to stop TSM getting back on that first blood. Nintendo X, a cheeky little move over into the bush. He says, they didn't see me. Let's make this happen.
Not. He's got to wait on the cooldown of his flag toss. It's 4 seconds up again. They know there's no flash on X Special, but Wild Turtle has one. So if they can get X Special, they'll just get a kill.
Bing, bang, boom. They head in onto X Special. There's the Requiem coming from mid as well. It's going to be the lockup. He actually tried to pull himself to safety. Nice move there, but he goes down in the end.
Near clever escape, but everything came in for the power. That's why they first picked Karthus. That's why people were saying, you should have banned Karthus in this situation. The Requiem actually gave him the last bit of damage. Didn't get the kill, but it gave him enough to secure it.
Global presence is a good thing. 2-0 now as Good Game University rather works off the global presence of Requiem there. And also, Jinte gets himself an assist in mid, so he gets a little bit to boot as well on the play. Dyrus in the bottom lane has hit 6. Reginald is 6. So it looks like they could make a move for something here. Dragon would really get them a nice chunk of gold.
Especially if Odd One's able to hit 6 and make his way down there, because that's generally what the Nasus ultimate is best used for early on in the game, is killing Dragon. It gives teams really great advantages, and it keeps the global gold even if the lanes aren't fully pressured by what Nasus is able to give for them. And I gotta say, even across to the other jungler, Nintendo X is farming a lot this game. He was level 5 before that gank at 6 minutes. It was a very quick level 5, so he's kept up quite well.
A back and forth, but the minion wave is still there. Daydreamin just taking a good amount of harass here. He actually has pretty good armor resistances, or armor and magic resist in that lane as support, so he's just taking all the damage to himself.
Blitzcrank maxing his rocket grab as well, so that Fist is doing even more damage when he lands a hook, and he's all in for those 6s, what that really means. So when one lands, they'll go for something, and when it's down, it allows TSM some counter aggression.
You see this, the tricky ganks have caused TSM not even to want a ward lane. It's an easy walk-in for Nintendo X here. The grab could have meant the death as well. Like we said, those level 6s are up for them. Odd One, still level 5.
But Nintendo X has it here, and they know Wild Turtle has no flash here.
They go right for him, the pop-up, the takedown, the Peacemaker, and that's going to be the finalizer. 3-0, the kills coming from top lane this game for GGU.
Nintendo X is not letting Wild Turtle breathe in that lane. It's the same thing they actually did when Wild Turtle was on Caitlyn and GGU's only victory. Every Nocturne ult was used in that lane, and that is repetitive ganks by Nintendo X. So they are actually trading that turret for a dragon because Odd One, ultimate, dragon, gone.
Yeah, he just got that. Said, I got wolves, we got dragon, let's turn this one around. 1,900 gold on Don't Mash Me. Deja vu from the Wild Turtle game just a few ago. He's going to probably be able to do anything he wants soon.
3-0 Don't Mash Me. When Don't Mash Me gets fed, it's a very difficult situation for TSM. It wasn't a jungle first blood, but it was like a level 1 or 2 first blood that he picked up once again. And in the 2 times there's been a level 1 kill in this series, that team has been able to win. But now TSM actually knows GGU is 3-stacked in this brush, and Reginald has a lot of damage. I feel like if TSM gets a 3v3 here, GG would die.
The Lantern, they split up. Daydreaming's one, maybe lost here. Mash Me trying to save that shutdown. They need to get him away. That's going to be a good amount of gold for Reginald. The flash, so worth it to leave that alone. Nintendo X may go down here. They could get a Caliber Net to stop Reginald on the attack. He doesn't have his ult again because he didn't use it off the Q. A good hook by X Special. Pulls it back in for the fight. Wild Turtle picks himself up a kill finally.
Flash death sentence, so it could have been a lot worse for GGU. And it could have also been a lot better, but X Special fired that in at the end, gets the hook onto Nintendo X, and will hopefully slow down a bit of his pressure there because Wild Turtle and X Special really need a breather in that lane to get themselves back in the game.
See where everybody is at. Like we said, those tiers are grabbed quite early. They both, actually 130 stacks for Kha'Zix, one a 284 for Jinte, and it looks like the top turret will finally be pushed by Team Solo Mid. So the Dragon now surmounting with this top turret. Looks like they're going to be able to just about even up the gold and continue to push their advantages.
Yeah, and actually GGU needs to clear this wave really fast, otherwise they get engaged on 3v2 once the turret goes down, but a Requiem scaring him off, man.
That's the Requiem. It's going to be good damage onto Reginald. The silence goes out. Daydreamin might find himself going down, though, and he will actually after the engage. They thought they had it.
That was a really ballsy move by TSM in that situation. They thought they would be able to get the turret down before the fight, and they were able to, even though the Requiem came out, did not scare them off from that one. They get the turret and some kills and pull the gold straight even.
A very fast build into sword boots, something Dyrus usually doesn't do. He goes boots into the haunting guy, so we can see him kind of just fending for himself in that bottom lane. He knows he's not going to be fighting anybody, so he's just putting together his items.
Some happy farm time in the bottom lane.
Actually,
these guys have had a little bit of happy farm time. So much of the jungle has been about keeping turrets up in these games, and this game was about camping AD carries. no one really cares about Darius and Zion Spartan until the team fight phase, and those guys are just going up against each other.
And they care a little bit too much. You can see a little baby wall coming out there from Jinte. He has not leveled that up for himself. They start to push mid. Safety, though, from TSM. You're going to see everybody start to gather in mid here, but it's not going to be enough to save the turret. 50, actually, the gold is all even. This is going to put them ahead if they can get the last few hits.
And Reggie actually lands the Crescent Strike, thinks about going in, but TSM knows they don't have the backup. That's another one of those Reggie poker games that he goes in for. He jumps in, even though if they turned, he would die, because they don't know that that was a bad move by Reggie, because he does it so often.
See what they can do. They both have good siege clear here in the mid lane. It just keeps evening itself out right in the middle of the river there. Pushing down and bottom by Zion Spartan. 91 CS to 76 there. Looks to be building a brutalizer on top of his tier stack as everybody getting their second items. No core items. Actually, no, I'm a liar. Wild Turtle did finish a Bloodthirster.
That's an interesting choice for Wild Turtle. A lot of times in the past he would do Infinity Edge on Varus.
Right.
But he has fallen a little bit behind Don't Mash Me and wants to make sure he doesn't lose those early trades any longer. Plus, he wants to be able to wave clear with those Qs. They have a pretty aggressive AD ratio on that piercing arrow, so he wants to keep the lane going and he wants to not fall behind despite the deaths in lane.
The kills working out so good for GGU right now. The assists falling where they should, and all 3 kills onto Don't Mash Me. He has found a way to get those under his belt. Still building together. He's got to have money on him right now without those items. 1,300 gold.
It's actually really crazy. He's 200 gold ahead of Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle's picked up 2 kills thanks to all the tomfoolery TSM pulled off in the top lane to get stuff back into this one. All the aggressive plays by Reginald just camping up in that lane really got Wild Turtle recovered.
So what are they trying to do now? This turret's going to go down. TSM knows they have to leave that up for grabs, but what can they pressure next? 2 minutes on to the Dragon. GGU, I believe, has eyes on when it went down due to the fact that they were pressuring the top. They got the advantage there, so Team Solo Mid may have a contest on this next objective.
GGU will definitely have a very good approximation of the Dragon since they know generally when TSM took it despite not having direct vision on it. But Darius may have to burn a flash here as Nintendo's pressures.
He goes in, has not put the scrap shield on yet to give himself the movement speed out. The Ignite goes down. Here comes the Requiem. He puts the scrap shield on to help with the Requiem, but it wasn't enough. They got the last attacks in.
The Ignite tick finally got him down. Reggie trying to counterattack.
Oh, he misses the Crescent. They cannot follow up, and it looks like they're just going to be able to walk out of this one as Daydreaming comes on from support as well. Jinte's just on the back side, but I don't think any more engagement to come.
If TSM would have wanted to go any farther, they actually risk getting pulled and knocked up within the turret's range. So a very good aggression there by Zion Spartan. Darius burning his flash and dying, which is the worst of both situations, means he's even more in trouble in that lane if he continues to try to farm up against Zion Spartan.
Second core item, Ancient Golem, completed by Odd One in the jungle here, building that on both on Shogath and Nasus now.
And you can see Nintendo Dex is actually pretty close to his Lock of the Iron Solari as well. He's got the Kindle Gem, but then he's also got some Aegis of the Legion components, so he's still deciding on the path that he eventually wants to take. He's got some time to make that decision.
Yeah, that last
Dragon's
fight they had,
seconds.
they both backed Zion and Nintendo picked up no magic man.
Really smart of them too, actually, because they're against a double ability power composition, so they want to make sure that if they get in an equalizer or if Reginald goes for them, that they can survive. I think the magic resistance is actually what they need to prioritize itemization-wise this early in the game, since Wild Turtle actually hasn't gotten going yet and he's not much of a threat.
At 2-2-0, his Bloodthirster stacking up now. He has just about full. Yeah, he has 30 stacks on that. The Bloodthirster over on the side of Don't Mash Me is only 14 strong, and he's 3-0-0 on that. So it seems like he should be a little bit farther ahead, but Mash Me has equaled out.
Yeah, I feel like the backing timings just worked out in the case of Wild Turtle got his Bloodthirster a little bit sooner, so he's had longer to stack it up, and it might give them the equal power AD carries in this fight. I don't think either AD carry is actually super strong before this fight, and if one of them ends up cleaning up, it'll be due to the work that the other people on the team do.
There's Reginald going in. Lunar Rush does hit, so he's got that cooldown still. Hits another one, but he does not decide to go in. He actually took a good bit of damage off of that. It looks like they're going to start to back off. Vision really in favor of Team Solo Mid there, so GGU wants to try and pressure.
I don't know why, but Reginald Diana is just the most threatening Diana I have ever seen. Every time he throws out a Crescent Strike, like I know his ultimate's not up, I'm like, is he going to go in? Because I constantly feel like he has that pressure, but now it's the Dragon for TSM. GGU caught out of position because Zion Spartan's going, but Reggie wants to fight.
There is so much crowd control there. Nintendo Dex goes down. It's going to be Daydreaming on the other side just to watch it happen.
Nintendo did not get anything off in that fight, but they pull somebody in.
They pulled in a special to the fight, and it looks like right? They're actually going to get boxed in for a little bit. The equalizer on their exit, just perfectly
Whoa.
placed, could not let them out. Reginald and Wild Turtle picking up kills. Spartan coming in for the backside. Does he have enough? There's no reset to be had yet. The shield thwarts his kill, and it's a double for Wild Turtle.
4 for 0, maybe 5, and the dragon.
Oh my gosh,
Don't see him.
Don't do it, Polatimo, get out of
Run
there.
away, run
He
away.
does, there it is, they didn't see him. Okay, that minion wave was just out of range. They grab the turret and Houdini gets himself out alive, but Mashmi has some work to do in the next team fight for his team.
Oh my god, he could have actually gotten a kill if he waited to kill Tyrus in that brush, but that is a ridiculous escape. But it was also a amazingly good fight for TSM. There was a miscommunication by GGU in that situation because everyone on their team was not pressuring a turret. They were sat down on the bottom side, and I feel like Nintendo was calling for a collapse before the team was ready to collapse, and because X Special landed the death sentence right onto him, he got killed before anything happened, and because they'd already made the call, and because Zion Spartan already peeled down, I felt like they had to continue, because up to that, GGU was in a mental position of winning. So they thought that giving up this dragon, even though they have the advantage, is a bad play. And it actually forced them into a worse play because they fought with a disadvantage and gave up the lead.
And we kind of touched on that last game too, right? The Thresh hook went out, and they went out to posture for a fight, and they got engaged on. This time they lost an entire member and still tried to pull engage the fight.
It's just a situation of, we are winning, we can win these fights, let's go. And it just didn't work out that way.
The I think I can mentality getting under the skin of Good Game University for the time being. We'll see if they can clean it off, wipe this up, and get back into these lanes fresh and clean here. 17 minutes and 20 seconds, I should say, into this game. It is 6-4 in favor of Team Solo Mid, but the gold lead is only 2,000. And that can swing back and forth very quick.
Absolutely, TSM with the strong power. And this is another one of those Zion Spartan split push situations. Reggie, every time he throws out the Crescent Strike, there's a chance he'd be going in here, but they realize they took that edge. They know the gold is still really close. There's no reason to pull anything drastic in these situations. And Zion Spartan does come away with a successful split push turret.
And that gold quickly closed down to 1,000 gap, 3-2 in turrets. Take a look at some of the items being created here. Attack speed finally getting in the hands of Wild Turtle now. There's got to be some money finally on to Mashmi. He has 1,600 gold just about. It looks like he might be trying to create some attack speed for himself here.
It's really crazy. Despite the amazing success he held early in the lane, Wild Turtle has 600 more gold than him. So Wild Turtle's turned himself into a better threat just based on the moves that TSM has pulled to support him. That's one of the things TSM has always done so well with their AD carries, is they put them into great positions to succeed due to how aggressive Reginald is, the stuff he creates, and it just allows Wild Turtle to sit in the back and clean up, as Chaos did in Season 2.
And I feel like this is a really scary fight for Good Game University. They have a lot of money on at least 3 of their members, and they're levels below TSM right now. This would be a point they need to shop before fighting.
They really got to make sure that they are well prepared for the next fight, because fighting ill-prepared is what got them in the situation. It's what lost them the lead, and they have to make sure not to make the same mistake twice.
So we do see Ezio coming out for Mashmi. He's getting that attack speed as he would like to get those headshot procs up just a little bit more. We did see mobility boots coming from Daydreaming, trying to create opportunities with that overdrive on Blitzcrank and really get those grabs in unexpectedly.
I think Daydreaming builds Boots Mobility and Ruby Sightstone in every single game, regardless of jungler. Remember scouting him when he first got picked up by GGU, and it's like, this guy plays Thresh and Blitzcrank, and he runs around the map really fast and tries to hook people, and that's his game. So at least he's experienced in these situations, and he'll be trying to find those hooks, even if he just runs up and punches someone in a roaming scenario. TSM actually doesn't have that many wards in the river as of yet. Maybe it's because of the back timing, maybe it's because there's no dragon to currently contest, or because they've already taken down the 3 outer turrets of GGU, but it would give GGU a bit of an opportunity to roam around and create something if they're feeling inclined to.
And you can see the consideration placed on the objectives this game and the flow of which way the game is going. Like Special had, by 3 minutes ago, already had an Oracle's last game. They were clearing wards. Things have really slowed down here in Game 4.
TSM is in a much closer game. I think when they gave up the first blood, they're just, slow down, guys. We got to make sure we play this one right. In the game that they lost, they actually made a similar comeback to this, but then still felt like they had to throw, or sorry, not throw, they still felt like they had to force. And I think the kill score in this one is putting TSM in a different mindset where they're saying, okay, we've actually pulled back in the game. Even if they didn't realize it in Game 2, they realize it now.
So as we just crest 20 minutes, we'll take stock of these core items. Like we said, Spirit of the Ancient Golem usually coming out fast on the odd one, and really piecing together his items this time. Finishes the Aegis before the Locket for Nintendo, so he's switching it up from this game. The Hex Drinker, we've been seeing come out a lot more of those, we're saying selfish individual items, but they're really helping the whole team.
And it was mainly because Zion Spartan was laning against Dyrus that he built the Hex Drinker, because he wanted to be able to trade with him. And I definitely agree with Nintendo X's Ace of the Legion as Daydreamin actually runs up and tries to get a hook. Dyrus dodged it.
So many good dodges here. Zuna's dodge on Shenton, Dyrus dodging that. Everybody's got their blue sage suede shoes on this week.
Wearing their Nikes. Juking all over the place.
Got
the
suede
cleats into the
Nikes?
ground.
Jeez.
Nice.
Crazy. We'll see what they can do pushing this bottom turret. It looks like both teams just kind of giving themselves a little bit of breathing room to kind of size each other up before this engagement. Dragon is going to be up in 20 seconds. TSM just on the backside of GGU.
Time to fight here. GGU's actually hoping the TSM face checks this. This was a very dangerous place for GGU to maybe get caught. They get the pull on X Special.
X Special gets pulled up. Oh my god, the box goes down and he died inside his own box. It's going to be a quick kill on Nintendo, but I guess the all-in really means all-in in there.
Yeah, that's actually a support for a tank necessarily. So GGU also has no mana on Daydream, and TSM forcing.
They are flashing for this. The Defile is on. They're going to have to walk through this damage. Daydreamin putting himself in the front to crowd control up. Here comes the Requiem. Could the shot kill him down? No, Reginald has enough.
2 for 1 at the end. TSM, 3 people flashing red. Below 20% health. I wonder if GGU is going to go for this Dragon because they have less people. Reggie, fearless.
Going right in. There is the Hex Drinker pop onto Zion Spartan. They are still blinking red on that side, but they're going to go back in. Both Reginald and Odd One. Now, finally, Odd One stops blinking. They're getting a little bit of health under their belt, and they still push off GGU that low.
And the Dragon is still an objective for these guys, so there is a constant pull back to this spot. Who is going to get back here sooner, and who is going to go back to base first? Because everyone's rezzed from the deaths. Don't Mash Me doesn't want to let Dyrus go back. Don't Mash Me also hasn't shopped as well, so his mana will be low for the next fight. They're going to keep coming back here until someone loses the fight.
They have to be careful. Mash Me can now see this. Nintendo didn't even move down there. Figured they would have tried to play some mind games and stop, but not even TSM is going to try for the Dragon. They know a few have gone down. A few good men have gone down in the last fight. We're going to have to see what they can do as they get back up. All the timers have been expended, and everybody's back on the Rift. Lasagna's in Reginald's hands now. He can even be more aggressive. The Rod of Age is still stacking up for Jinte, but it means he's going to be that zombie Karthus for now against TSM.
And TSM will have an edge if they fight as soon as the Odd One's ultimate comes up, because you can see Jinte's Requiem is actually on a pretty long cooldown.
That's true.
But skills like the Equalizer or Varus' Chain of Corruption are on much shorter cooldown. So that's why TSM is forcing right now, because they would have all their ultimates for this fight where they know that GGU doesn't have the Requiem. And that might actually be why Zion Spartan just went to another lane, because they said, we're not fighting without Requiem when they have Equalizer.
Daydreamin trying to hook just out of range. The Dragon going to Team Solo mid. They split the gold. It's about 3,000 now, as they've pretty much found the biggest lead they've had this game.
And 3,000 gold lead in a game that can win them Spring Split North American Championship. So they got to be feeling pretty good about this. And TSM does know how to close. This is a situation where they have to put all their season or their years of practice into play.
What do they decide to do next? Looking at the items, obviously, they're going to have to wait for something from Daydream in here. That pull is going to have to work for them.
Absolutely here. So we can see GGU just farming up the mid lane as much as possible. The items are pretty big. Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer on Don't Mash Me. Wild Turtle has similar items, but he went for the Static Shiv actually. So they're really looking to shove out lanes.
So we've heard, you know, I believe it was Double Lift going back and doing AD carry stuff. Static Shiv is good. It's still good, but it's really good for the time you get it. Is that a chance for them to fall off?
It probably not actually.
Right.
Like, it's a very small difference. It's mainly a choice of shoving lanes and how you want to initiate fights, and it's totally fine. Like, it's actually a preference choice for AD carries.
All right, so it looks like he's going for the Static Shiv, keeping that in. The Phantom Dancer coming from Mash Me, but he does not combine it with the Bloodthirster. So, or the Infinity Edge, I should say. So he's not going to get that high output, but he's still going to be hitting those headshots. So the pain to be delivered from Mash Me. He is 3-0-1. He did find fast kills, but somehow Turtle now 5-2-3. He's found his way over that score.
And GGU stepped it up to the Runic Bulwark on Nintendo X, which will really help them against the double AP composition. It's been a struggle in these team fights for them, because when they get a pull initiation, it kind of gets turned around on them a little bit, and Jinte hasn't been able to die in the right situations. He doesn't necessarily have that Reginald presence on Karthus that we've seen. He's not the one in the front line flashing in and creating. He's the one kind of getting chased down, which is hurting their chances in a little bit of the ways. There's so much just area of effect stuff that comes out from TSM. It makes it very difficult for Jinte to walk into these fights, and he'll need to find a way to do that actually if GG wants to come out on top of this one.
You can see Team Solo Mid trying to synergize these items together now. The Rylai is quickly picked up by Dyrus after that Haunting Guise. Doesn't finish the Leandries. They're really trying to keep these fights engaged and keep on the heels of GGU.
And what's happened for TSM is they've won initial engagements, then wanted to chase down, so it makes sense. He's going to eventually combo that with the Leandries, just because the Rylais and Leandries is the AP combo you want to go with. But for now, the Rylais is the right item to complete first.
See if they can get it down. Dyrus keep pushing forward with that Flame Spitter, looking for an equalizer to throw down on the team. Daydreamin', he kind of has a hard task here. He's found a few pulls that aren't working for him. He only has a few good people to pull.
Yeah, the only person he could actually pull well is Wild Turtle. I think anyone else he just pulls in a big old problem. So he's got to be very careful.
The wall goes down, so they look to just deter any engagement. Reginald back down to the bottom lane. GGU to push here. Reginald says, damn it, they're putting pressure on the mid lane. I'm coming back.
And this is the place where Reginald actually wants to be, because this would put him in position to initiate just right and then throw down his Zani's Hourglass. GGU's got to be very careful, because he's probably calling a TSM fight right now.
Reginald coming to the backside to slice the pie, and he cuts right through the middle. Happy birthday, Jinte! Surprise! Dyrus gets the kill on that one. They're going to keep bolstering the gold lead here. The Requiem comes out, but it isn't enough to deter them. They're actually all standing on Jinte the whole time. Beautiful job coming in. Zion Spartan, one last attack. Bam, you're going down. Refresh on the blue buff. They just pulled that one around because everybody sat on Jinte during the fight.
A 4-for-1. Jinte actually found his way into the middle of the fight because TSM joined him there. The resets came out for Zion Spartan, and he just hopped around for the 4-for-1. GGU could very well get an inhibitor off of this, but Zion Spartan is actually hunting for Turtle.
That was a fantastic pie that Reginald cut into, but I don't think he expected to find the entire team ready to surprise him. They dropped the inhibitor turret in a huge bolstering lead here for GGU as they open up map pressure.
But they don't finish the inhibitor. They actually backed off a little bit. I think they were afraid of a counter Baron since they were very low after that situation. A conservative play after a very good team fight victory for GGU. The game is on again because the gold just evened out.
You see this bottom turret being pushed, so this is something for GGU to work on if they want it when they pressure the mid turret. These are some options they have as they come out. The Baron is there as well, and we have seen some crazy back and forth at Baron throughout the playoffs.
Oh man, the Baron has been a huge point of contention. Nintendo X is growing a clutch smiter reputation for himself because he's actually stolen 2 Barons that gave his team victory. You know, you can miss however many smites you want, but if you can get the last smite on Baron, that's all that matters. And that's what Nintendo X has actually been priding himself on. So if any type of Baron dance happens, they're going to have that confidence in their back pocket that they can take it and make that play.
Zion Spartan throwing the red buff onto himself, and really, it's been known to just put the red buff on the guy who's going to be in the fight. Get that red proc on, slow more, and just get more kills. Yeah, it'd be good on Mash Me, but he's not going to be 1v1ing anytime too soon. So we see Zion Spartan ready, stacked. The Muramana almost there.
GGU was in this brush again. They had a fight go horribly wrong when they waited in this brush before, and Odd One just went in like a man and scared them out.
The wall went down. They were able to really thwart off quite a bit. Back and forth, they are just posturing each other on either side. The jump over so Zion Spartan can get himself back into a better position to defend this turret, but there's just a huge amount of pressure coming from TSM here.
Miraculously enough, it's 5 turrets to 2, so GGU defending hardly, and there's the pull.
They get the die on the grab onto Dyrus. It's going in onto Expecto. Zion Spartan goes down instantly as they throw the equalizer back, and they quickly go 1 for none. Expecto gets out with the skin of his teeth.
That is one of the best.
Maybe not.
Best targets that TSM could have killed because the reset threat was gone, but X Special took enough damage and the Requiem went off that it was able to finish off X Special, which pulls off any super immediate threat. But I gotta say, with Sound Spartan down and Jinte's ultimate down, that's a lot of considerable threat that GGU just lost. Jinte's got another 153 seconds where he can't do that ultimate, and 30 minutes into the game, that is an eternity. So TSM might be able to force a fight at this Dragon, and it'll make it difficult on GGU unless GGU can get this down right away.
Zion Spartan is actually the highest level in the game at 16 right now, and he was the fastest to be crushed down in that fight. I think you nailed it when you said they got the resets out of there quick, and it was a damn good idea. They're going to be straight for this Dragon now, and it could be pressure.
GGU cannot fight this. They do not have enough thread open. The only thing they could hope for is a steal, and they have to stay away from TSM at this juncture.
42,600 to 41-1. That's still a very close gold lead. Like we said, it's going to waver back and forth the entire time if it doesn't break that 6K difference. 10 to 10 in kills at 30 minutes in, Jat. Like you said, 5 to 2 in turrets. It seems like TSM is able to still dictate a little bit here.
And TSM needs to look at the fights they've won and the fights they've lost and realize what was happening. So they need to be very careful that they don't dive through Jinte and instead just wait for the right situation. But this is the mistake that TSM actually made in their loss. There is a ward on Baron here. Jinte does not have mana, and they're forcing. That Baron's going down fast.
They throw a second ward down as well. There's not even an Oracle here to be placed out. Equalizer hits up. Mashmi is on the right side. They do have Baron. Daydreaming could go down here, but Dyrus turns around. The team's not ready to engage. Reginald and Wild Turtle are off on the side. Jinte trying to get out with his team. They force the flash, and it looks like they make it out safe with Baron, but it's a defensive one.
Wow, what an aggressive call by GGU. That very well could have backfired, but right now gives Baron to 4. TSM wants to get the Baron off of them as quickly as possible, which is why Reginald's coming around the back.
He is. They know it, though. Mashmi puts down the trap. He said it's just a little too quiet in this town, and he backs out of that one. It looks like they're going to be safe under the turret. Wow. Reginald takes a lot of damage there, and he gets taken down. The AoE from the spikes. The ace in the hole to follow up. They couldn't dodge it, and it's a double kill for Zion Spartan.
So the aggression that TSM tried to pull off to get the Baron off just gave GGU even more gold. Zion Spartan hopped around a little bit. He is a very scary bug right now, and TSM trying to run away, but GGU has a power play right now.
Zion Spartan going to level 17 now as he is still the highest in the game, chasing down everyone by himself in that top lane as he finally stops GGU to clean up mid here and start to pressure their advantage.
Next up is that exposed inhibitor in the mid lane. Jinte does have a blue buff, so that low mana that he's had in the mid lane doesn't matter because it's regenning up very, very quickly. They know that Reginald and X-Special are dead, at least Reginald for the next 10 seconds, and GGU looks to take this inhibitor right now.
They have that attack speed on Caitlyn. They'll be able to pop this one down as well. Should be able to get the damage at least before getting anybody pulled. Yes, I was going to say that minion wave would give them a nice thing to fight with, but it looks like they back out the inhibitor. Capitalization on the advantage finally for GGU, but they have to hold this now.
And even with that Baron buff, they're 300 gold up, and all their side lanes are pushed back right now, so they have to go clean those up, make sure they buy some items, and make sure they team fight properly because this game is still on a razor's edge.
And really the biggest thing that we have to hats off to GGU on that is that when the beginning of the season, when we saw these guys grab objectives like that, go hard, they would just be defending their base, but they were able to use it there. They took the inhibitor, and now they know they can kind of relax and see what TSM can answer with.
This has definitely been the best game of the series. It is, just from a gameplay perspective and the fact that it's close. I think both these teams are actually playing really, really well. They're making risky calls that pay off frequently, and when they're making mistakes, they're very, very close to working. The item comebacks have been huge. I mean, the fact that Wild Turtle got first blooded and then came back into the game to this point where he pretty much has exactly the same items as Don't Mash Me speaks to his skills as a player, and the minion kills are close. Jinte is close to being at a point where he can sit in the team. He's actually close to Reginald in gold, and if he dies in the right spot, I feel like GGU can take this one.
An absolutely amazing game head all around by every lane. Like you said, you can see the gold almost equal between the AD carries, a little equal between the mids, but that advantage in favor of Team Solo Mid right now, and they're down in gold. It just goes to show you which ways the game can be won and which ways you can hold the advantage.
Yeah, Zion Spartan with the 11,000 gold. He actually built a Guardian Angel.
Gosh, so much damage
so
there.
He's really making sure he wants to be alive at the end of these fights. Once the Requiem has done all his damage, once everyone's sat in a file, he wants to be able to get those resets. But he's actually not even close to the team right now, so if TSM recognized this, they could go in for a 4v5 fight, and if any team is crazy enough to try that, it would be TSM.
Well, he's going to be walking through that ward just on his left side. Once they see him, they may want to try for something, and it looks like the whole team's actually going to back off to not allow for that.
Yeah, once Zion Spartan walked through that ward, it was almost too late for TSM to go in. They would have had to completely guess that he wasn't there because there was no way of them really knowing until he was in that ward. And now Jinte front lining, taking some turret hits, and they're really trying to get this turret down. A lot of those Caitlyn traps also are really good to stop TSM from initiating. They're putting up the siege and going for this turret.
Daydreaming is kind of throwing himself right up there, trying to grab somebody onto it. They don't get anything there. You hear the death sentence go out and miss as well. The grab goes, forces the flash on Turtle. That Melody, huge ultimate coming in. Reginald pulls them all in, and it looks like they're going to be doing some good damage. Requiem to follow up. Reginald goes down, though. He's able to take down
Here he goes.
And it looks like they fly into the fight. The reset's coming in for Zion Spartan. Does he have enough damage? The Guardian Angel's still on him. They're going to take down TSM in their own base. Ottawa's forced to run on this one, and Super Minions are hitting the Nexus turrets.
3 people still alive on GGU with the Baron. Odd one, the only one back to defend. Here comes GGU.
GGU totally out-levels TSM at this point in the game right now. 35 minutes on the clock. The Nexus in their eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a Game 5.
Oh man, every single possible game of the LCS playoffs is going to be played. All the